this video, I'm going to give you 20 different types of hypothesis for simulation theory. This is not going to be a scripted video. It's not going to be polished. It's going to be off the cuff, very similar to how I make on my Bend the Spoon videos. That's my secondary channel. And so what this video is my attempt to describe what this simulation is by posing 20 different scenarios for what it could be. And I don't know for sure. And that's why I'm making this video. But as you're listening to this, let me know in the comments section if any of these vibe with you. The first one is a nested simulation. And that would mean that our universe is very much like Russian dolls. And it's a simulation within a simulation within a simulation. And it could be like that all the way down and all the way above us, and we don't know where we stand. There could be only one above us and one below us. There could be 100 above us, 1,000 below us. We just don't know. Now, when I say below us, well, probably not below us because we haven't really created a simulation good enough yet where there would be consciousness inside. Now, we see with Veo 3, we see very lifelike looking characters in there, but that doesn't mean that they are conscious. As a matter of fact, they're just prompts. But one day we could create a simulation powerful enough that consciousness would decide to inhabit it, or maybe somehow the characters in the game would gain consciousness. But there could be many levels of simulation above us. And so that is the nested simulation hypothesis. That is the first one. Do I think we're in an infinite digital stack? Well, Tom Campbell says probably not, because the computer processing power as you go down would abate. And if it abates enough, if it lessens enough, then we would not have enough resolution to make a very lifelike and realistic looking simulation. I mean, there are definitely constraints to the simulation. Light can only move so fast. Time can only move so fast. There's one delta t at a time. There's the Planck length. There's the speed of light. So these are like the pixels in our universe. Anyway, let's continue on. Number 2 would be the one and only simulation. And that would be that this is the only simulation that exists. There is no external real world out there. Reality is the simulation, period. And there's no curtain to pull back. Now, if that was the case, and this is the only simulation, my question is, who created it and why? And what happens when the simulation ends, and can it end? There are so many questions that I could ask based on these hypotheses here, but I don't believe it's the one and only simulation. But we have that as number 2. Number 3 is that base reality is above us, that we're in a simulated world, but there is a real physical universe outside of it run by advanced beings or civilizations. And those advanced beings or civilizations would be quote-unquote organic. They would be terrestrial. They would be real. And we are the digital constructs because we are in the simulation. Now, there was a woman that I interviewed a couple of years ago. I believe her name was Summer. And she said that she remembers being in the real universe. And this is just a copy of that real universe. And she did not know how to get back. So number 3, I think, could be a real possibility, that there is a base reality just above us and we are in the simulation. Number 4 is dream simulation. This is something that I find myself in plenty of dream simulations every night, and they're all very interesting. But this isn't a digital simulation. Now, this is hypothesis number 4. Instead, it's a dream state projected by a higher consciousness, like Source imagining itself into fragmentation. Now, this is what a lot of New Agers say, is that God split itself up into all of us to experience itself. And also in the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, Yogananda states that God can envision the dream world. Not the dream world, but can somehow dream the world into being. That's what I should say. Dream the world into being. For example, a Babaji in one of my favorite chapters was able to, just by using the power of his mind, construct a palace of gold and jewels. And he held it together for a night. God, on the other hand, is way more powerful and can hold the whole, what we call simulation, reality, whatever you want to call it, for a long, long, long time, because that's God. So that would be number 4, dream simulation. By the way, if any of these resonate with you, just drop it in the comment section and let me know. Number 5 is brain in a vat hypothesis, that we are all brains floating in a lab connected to a simulation via advanced neural interfaces, and all sensory input is virtual. Now, Immanuel Kant, the great philosopher from, I believe, the 16th century, I believe 1800s, I'm going to say Kant was. I might be wrong on that. But he said that we can never really know what exists because we can't trust our senses. And if you remember Neo in the Matrix movie, he was hooked up. He was basically a brain in a vat, except he was a body in a vat. Completely inert, hooked up to the Matrix. And so the brain in a vat hypothesis suggests that we have real bodies, but we are just all bodies or brains floating in a vat. I don't know about that one. That one I don't agree with. Number 6, entertainment simulation. Now this is one that I feel could be true. We're an immersive experience, a game or drama for beings in another realm. Think Truman Show meets The Sims. It is a possibility. We could be entertainment for some type of advanced beings. I mean, they would be sadists because the simulation has been far from ideal, and there have been a lot of horrific events that have happened in history, and I was just watching a documentary today. Well, I don't want to get too far into it, but yeah, this could be a simulation purely for other beings' entertainment, which would suck, by the way. Number 7, evolutionary simulation. We're part of a simulated experiment to evolve consciousness. And the simulation exists to train souls through challenges and choices. Now, this is a lot what Tom Campbell says. This is a lot what the New Agers say. Even Jason Breshears thinks that this is the case, at least when I spoke to him a few years ago. I don't know if he's changed his opinion. But this could be now, if this is true, that we are in a simulation experiment to evolve consciousness, then that could mean that there is a real reality out there where we have real bodies. Or it could be like Tom Campbell says, and consciousness is the only thing in the universe that is fundamental, and everything else is virtual. It's just all a digital construct. Well, this could be a digital training ground for consciousness. So I would say that there is a very real possibility. And number 8, this could be a scientific simulation. Could be created by a future civilization to study their own past or alternate timelines, like running history in a sandbox to test outcomes. And if that was the case, then they would probably be using AI, advanced AI, to run the metrics and figure out what's working and what's not working. But again, I don't know how ethical it would be because there's been a lot of very, very bad things happening in this simulation. Although what they could be thinking, and I was talking about this earlier with somebody, anybody that is running us as a simulation may think it doesn't really matter much what happens in it. We could have the most horrific things happen because none of it is really true. It's just sprites on a computer screen. Although, of course, for us, it feels completely real. Same thing like a dream. Number 9, it could be a malicious control grid. It could be a dark force simulation created to trap consciousness and farm emotional energy, loosh, echoing the soul trap theory. Yeah, I don't have to get too deep into this one. I know there's a lot of people that watch this channel that know about the soul trap, but this could be some type of dark force simulation set up by evil beings designed to entrap consciousness, to extract loosh so that they could feed. Self-generated simulation. We as collective consciousness created the simulation from within, like lucid dreamers forgetting that we're the dreamers. I don't know how that could happen. It was said that in 2012 the world ended. I made a video on this, and because the world ended due to CERN, there were some engineers at CERN that got together and they had to reconstruct Earth. And so we are all just living inside of a simulation, and the real Earth has been destroyed who knows how long ago. It might be 13 years ago, it might be 1300 years ago, we can't be sure. So it could be that we're simulation from within. Now, I doubt this is the case, but it is an interesting hypothesis nonetheless. Number 11, simulation collapse hypothesis. And this would say that the simulation was once perfect, but is now degrading or becoming unstable, which is showing signs of Mandela effects, time glitches, and anomalies. Now, this could be a fairly good explanation for those type of events. I've covered Mandela effects on the channel. If you don't know, a Mandela effect is basically when something changes. Almost all the populace remembers it being one way, and then all of a sudden, one day, it just changes. I'll give you an example. In The Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow now carries a gun. I don't remember the Scarecrow ever carrying a gun, but now he does. And if you ask your average person, they'll probably tell you they don't remember the Scarecrow having a gun, but he has one now. And there are thousands of examples of these Mandela effects. There's also time glitches where people move forward or backward in time. There's a really good story in The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot of two ladies who went back a couple hundred years in time. I'm sure that there's plenty of stories like that as well. I've read them. And then we have these anomalies. And just in the last video I put out, I talked about some of these anomalies, how there were people in history that had so much in common that it was scary. It was improbable. It was like a 1 in a trillion chance, but it happened. So maybe the universe or the simulation is breaking down. Number 12 would be an alien simulation. And a lot of you like the alien videos that I've been making recently, so I plan to make more of them. But number 12 alien simulation would posit that we were created by extraterrestrial intelligences for unknown purposes, perhaps to seed galactic consciousness or even to study empathy. It is possible because if the universe is truly real, what we think it is, and I've studied astronomy and cosmology since I was 6 years old, they say the universe is about maybe 13.6 billion years of age. Well, we're Johnny come lately. We've only been around for about 100 to 200,000 years. Imagine the beings that were here thousands of years, hundreds of thousands, even millions of years before us, how advanced they could be. They could be way, way, way ahead of us. If you think about it, 20 years from now, our society is going to be way further along than it is now. So that's 20 years. You could imagine what 1,000 or 100,000 or 1,000,000 would do. So it is possible that aliens may have been harnessing the power of stars. They might have been type 3, type 4 civilizations and were able to create a simulation like ours, assuming we are in one. Number 13, spiritual school simulation. Well, this is very similar to the one I mentioned before, that Earth is a dense realm designed for soul growth. We have hard lessons, pain, and joy are the curriculum in this cosmic classroom. Very similar to what I said before, and what Tom Campbell and a lot of the New Agers say is that, well, what Tom Campbell says is, when I asked him this, because I interviewed him, I said, why is the world so messed up? I was watching a documentary today about slavery in Africa and Amistad, and we all know about the Jews, we all know about all the atrocities that have happened in the 20th century thanks to all these crazy dictators like Stalin, and I mean, I don't want to go into it, but we know. Why would we have so much misery and suffering and pain and heartache? Is it Is it simply to learn lessons? And why do we need to learn lessons? Like, if God is perfect, why do we have to incarnate here and live a very imperfect life? Now, look, Tom Campbell doesn't say that God is perfect. Tom Campbell says that the LCS, he doesn't really believe in God, but he says the LCS, the larger consciousness system, is not perfect. And that's one of the reasons that we are the way we are, is because we're evolving. But then again, the LCS is billions of years ahead of us, so why would it need us to continually incarnate here? And many people are very lowly evolved on this planet. It doesn't really make sense to me. There's so many things that make sense and don't make sense at the same time. I hope that I made that clear. Number 14 is an abandoned simulation. This is similar to the one and only simulation. The creators have left or died. Well, the system is running on autopilot, governed by preset algorithms and entropy. Tom Campbell talks about entropy, second law of thermodynamics, everything decays. So maybe the simulation is decaying. Maybe that's why society is getting worse. Maybe that's why we are seeing the Mandela effects, the glitches, and we're seeing some of the cracks in the simulation. Now, that could be also because we are getting to be advanced enough where science could peer down into the very small pixels that make up our universe. I believe it was Professor James Gates who said that he saw computer code written in the mathematics that describe the universe. It's pretty scary. And if this is an abandoned simulation, who knows how long it'll run, and who knows how well it will run. That's an interesting one. All right, number 15, this could be a recycled simulation. The universe resets after every major collapse, and each version is slightly different, a kind of reincarnation of the cosmos. And I've talked about this in a recent video, that in the Matrix movies, the architect tells Neo in The Matrix Reloaded that they are in the 6th version. And I believe the Bible also says that we're in the 6th version as well. It's interesting. I do believe there's some credence to this, that the simulation ends and a new one begins. And I know Jason Breshears and a lot of others talk about the reset coming. Some say the year 2040, some say earlier, some say later. This is one that is quite believable to me. The recycled simulation where it's maybe shut off and reset. Very interesting. We have 5 left, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with me. Please give me a like, and if you enjoyed this video, I think you're really going to like this one right here. It's another simulation theory video. Thank you for staying with me to the end. Boy, this has been a long video. See you in the next one.